Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Infinite Jess for MLB.com's Cut 4. I'm Jess Kleinschmidt, and this is episode number 10, people, which means we've got a lot of episodes underneath our belt. We're heading towards the postseason, and I'm really excited for that. Speaking of the postseason, we'll be talking about a team that's been really fun to watch this season, and that's going to be the Brewers, specifically one Mr. Christian Yelich and his friend Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker, of course, is the now starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and recently he showed up to a Thursday night football game against the Jets sporting a Christian Yelich jersey. Pretty great, right? Well, not only did Baker Mayfield and the Browns win that game, the Browns won a game, but I think Christian Yelich had something to do with that, right? Maybe. Anywho, during the post-game press conference with Baker Mayfield, he gave a shout out to Christian Yelich, which was kind of wonderful, saying, yeah, Christian Yelich for National League MVP. Turns out the two were actually really good friends, so much so that in the offseason when Christian Yelich was traded to the Brewers, Baker Mayfield made sure to dress and get a bunch of Brewers gear. One showing up wearing a Yelly jersey to that Thursday night football game. So they trained together. They've had dinner together, so they're obviously really good friends. So I wanted to make sure that's what the topic was today. Not only do I have Mr. Robert Flores from MLB Network, but I have MLB.com's Mr. Anthony Castrovince. Now, the thing that was really exciting to have Castro on is he had a really fun tweet, and I'm going to bring that up a little bit later in the show. But for now, I'm going to call Robert Flores, and talk about how exciting not only Christian Yelich has been, but some of these National League teams as well. So I'm joined by MLB Network's Robert Flores. Robert, Roflo.
Hey.
It's like a billion names. It's fine. Thank you for joining me. And I've been wanting to have you on forever. I know you've been begging and pleading to come on. It's been super annoying, so I'm glad you're finally here. The subject today is Christian Yelich. Now, of course, he was acquired by the Brewers in the offseason. So when that was going down in January, compared to now, has he totally exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, he has definitely exceeded the expectations. Not that the expectations were low, because he was an accomplished hitter throughout his career in Miami. But if you were to tell me that of all the Marlins outfielders that were dealt, that Christian Yelich would be the one that would have the best chance to win his league's MVP at this stage of the season, Christian Yelich probably would have been my last pick. So, yeah, in that respect, he's definitely exceeded expectations. I think he's been as good at, and not better than what the Brewers had hoped for. He's added power to his game that he didn't have or didn't display there in Miami. But he's been it's been a real treat to sort of see him evolve, especially offensively.
Yeah, it's been definitely fun to watch. And like you said, we were kind of all concentrating on how Giancarlo Stanton was going to perform for the Yankees. And so to have him kind of be the unsung hero, we always knew he was good, but to really see him exceed on that team's fabulous. So he's hit for the cycle twice this season. Hitting for the cycle once is pretty awesome. Doing it twice, I think, is great. Some people find the cycle #meh. I think it's great. What are your thoughts on the cycle?
You know, that's such like a weird stance to be anti-cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
know.
I think it's great. I enjoy it. I think it's a significant feat. Also, when you consider he did it against the same team, the Cincinnati Reds, twice.
Right.
He went 6 for 6 in one of the games that he hit for the cycle. So yeah, I'm on board with it. I would never be anti-cycle. So definitely count me team cycle. I think it is a, it's sort of a snapshot, like a one-game snapshot of a player's versatility at the plate. Not only is he hitting for power, but he can also get the single and the double as well. So yeah, I think, and by the way, I think the triple is one of the most exciting plays in all of baseball.
I agree. People don't understand that, and it's such a weird thing to get, and you have to hit it at the right spot, right time.
Yep.
Planets have to line a certain way. Like, everything has to be perfect. Now, is Christian Yelich your pick for National League MVP?
I would have said Trevor Story maybe this time last week, but especially when you consider what he does defensively at a very demanding position in shortstop. But with him having sort of nursing an injury now, I think Christian Yelich might have have inched ahead of him. So, barring something unusual, I think it is Christian Yelich.
Yeah, I'm just so excited for him. Now, the story that we've been kind of talking about is Baker Mayfield sporting this Christian Yelich jersey.
Yeah.
They're like BFFs. They're super close. If you were to be in the same shoes as Baker Mayfield or Christian Yelich, what jersey would you be pumped to point at and be like, "Homeboy's rocking a Robert Flores jersey"? Who would you be excited to sport a Roflo jersey?
I would love it if Ric Flair wore a Robert Flores jersey.
Yes.
I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That's my pick.
I love that. That's fantastic. So you mentioned Trevor Story. Besides Yelich, you take those two out of the equation. What is your favorite National League storyline right now?
Well, can I pick two?
Of course you can.
Yeah, because, and you know what? Coincidentally, there's a good chance that they'll meet in the National League playoffs. For me, the number one story is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they had a dip towards late spring, and they had some troubles at times recently, but they're on fire now. I think their roster is. I always say that it appears that the Dodgers have like 40 men on a 25-man roster. They're so versatile. They practically have a left-handed and right-handed lineup. So to see what they're going to get from their bullpen, how are they going to bridge to Kenley Jansen, and what is Kenley Jansen going to look like, I think is very fascinating. And the other story, the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, yes.
It is, Acuna, Albies, Freddie Freeman's a veteran. But Fultonevich, Newcomb, who they just, I think, put back in the bullpen. What are those young guys going to look like? What are they going to do on this biggest stage? I think is infinitely interesting as well.
Yeah, I feel like the National League, when people ask me what your favorite team is in the National League, I kind of shut down because I honestly don't know. I feel you mentioned the Braves coming out. They came out so hot, and I was expecting them to take a back seat a little bit, but they kind of kept up there. But there's still like an open bar basically situation going on in the National League, so I'm really excited. But I agree. I love the Braves. They're so much fun to watch. Do you think bringing Machado onto the Dodgers, do you think that was actually a game changer for them?
Well, I don't think that he's had like the big impact offensively that he hasn't busted out with sort of putting the team on his back. Although with that being said, as I alluded, their lineup is so deep and so versatile. He doesn't really have to. That's not necessarily what they need. They just needed someone to sort of solidify the position with Seager's absence, and he's certainly done that. So in that respect, maybe he has been the game changer, but we just haven't seen him sort of put the Dodgers on his back offensively. But there's still a week left in the season, and who knows what kind of moments he can provide in the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to definitely be the postseason type of guy. Well, Roflo, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. And let's hope that Christian Yelich becomes that NL MVP.
You got it, Jess. Thanks.
So thank you for joining us, Robert, Mr. Flores, Roflo. I always get nervous. Like when you have more than one nickname, I don't really know what to call you. So that's kind of a stressful. I don't even know what to call myself. Sometimes Beyonce when I'm feeling kind of crazy, but that's, after a few cups of coffee. Anywho, thank you for stopping by, Roflo. I was excited to have him on because he's been able to see so much of what's gone on. And I feel like when you're talking about a National League team, you get overwhelmed. And luckily, somebody who knows a thing or two about the National League stuff, he recently put out a column talking about how overwhelming these National League, battles are going to be. You can't have an 8-way tie, maybe a 4-way tie, and he wrote about that earlier. Plus, he put this really cool tweet out. So I'm going to give Mr. Anthony Castrovince a call. So Castrovince is here. Thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to talk about this awesome tweet that you sent out right when the Browns won that game on Thursday night. Obviously, everybody was blowing up. It was great. You said, ask her out, apply for your dream job, sign up for that marathon, hit on 17. The Cleveland Browns just won a football game. Anything is possible. So that was amazing.
That's right.
I retweeted. It reminded me of when Rafael Palmeiro was trying to make a comeback. I was like, hey, you can do anything. So with that, what's more unlikely to happen between somebody hitting 2 cycles against the same team in a season or the Browns winning a football game?
Well, I'd almost think Rafael Palmeiro making the comeback is the most likely of the three, maybe. But
right.
I don't know. I guess I guess the cycle happening twice a season. It's happened 4 other times now, not all against the same team. So I guess that is pretty statistically rare. But I'm a Clevelander. I'm always going to side with the Browns winning a game being the most rare of jewels. Maybe they'll prove us wrong this season. Maybe this is just the beginning of something special. It felt like a turning point for the franchise, for those of us here in Cleveland who have watched this be the most entertaining team in sports for all the wrong reasons, going back to 1999. So yeah, I don't know the answer to that, Jess. I got to mull that one over, but it feels like the Browns winning game is always the least likely, I should say.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like, even if you're not a football fan, you were totally, it's like mad support for you, Baker Mayfield. He's now the starting quarterback. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Or, obviously cheering on Christian Yelich. So for Christian Yelich, do you think he is the National League MVP of 2018?
Yeah, as of today, I do. And things can happen in the last few days of the season. Maybe it sways some voters' minds, and maybe Javi Baez goes crazy in the last few days. And as the Cubs clinch the NL Central, things like that can happen. That's kind of the way the NL race has been all year, and particularly in the second half. But man, I mean, Yelich has had such a monster second half and a very good first half. He was legitimately an all-star in the first half, but second half, he's just been an absolute beast. The power has really come a long way. You mentioned the 2 cycles, of course. Those are kind of, I guess, MVP type moments for whatever that's worth. But I think Yelich is the guy in a very crowded and complicated field. I feel like he's the guy who in the second half has kind of risen above the fray.
Yeah, you mentioned crowded, and I know the National League MVP could kind of go a few ways, but the National League period has been such a stressful league to cover because I don't know who my favorite is. You start listing teams and you put out this column. Obviously, we can't have, an 8-way tie or a 4-way tie. But with the National League, what has been your favorite storyline coming out of that league this season?
Well, I think the National League's in some ways gotten a bad rap, right? Everybody, myself included, we do our power rankings every week, and we consistently put the best American League teams on top there. And there's always been an argument that, hey, maybe the best 4 or 5 teams in baseball this year come from the American League. But those clubs have also had the luxury of beating up on some really bad teams in the American League. We all know it's been a pretty top-heavy league, whereas the National League, it's been so clustered all year. You kind of feel like, the clubs that come out of this and make it to October, they will have endured a dogfight throughout the second half where so many of their games have been so meaningful. And so I kind of feel like they might even be better prepared for the postseason. Now whoever comes out of the American League is going to be a great team because they will have beaten some legitimate great teams with great winning percentages. But it just might be one of those years where the National League teams are just more geared toward that daily grind that the postseason becomes.
Yeah, it's been kind of fun to watch because they're also somewhat even keeled as far as the win-loss records, which has been great. I kind of like that. It's a little bit less of a Cinderella story and who really wants it more. So that's been fun.
Right.
Now, we were talking about this story of Baker Mayfield sporting the Christian Yelich jersey, a shirt jersey, which I don't even know if that's an actual term. But if you had a friend, whether it was you guys played sports together and he or she was in a different sport, who would you be pretty pumped to see wearing an Anthony Castrovince jersey?
Well, I mean, you might see from these posters, I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, so any kind of shout out from Bruce Springsteen would be amazing. But obviously, we're not best friends. We met a couple times. So
Not yet.
I don't think we're on the BFF trail yet. I don't know, just anybody in my field, in sports writing field. I got friends who cover the NFL and NBA, and to get the support from guys who cover other leagues, I guess you kind of feel that. But I'm just going to stick in MLB. I'm going to pick my podcast co-host Richard Justice.
Okay.
I think we should wear each other's names on our backs for the World Series editions of the Morning Lineup podcast.
I really like that. Like friends helping out friends, your pod buddies.
That's
I
right.
like that a lot. Good for you. And way to give a shout out to Richard Justice. Morning Lineup podcast, always. All right, Castro, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time, and we will have to bring you on again, maybe the postseason when it gets a little bit crazy.
Yeah, absolutely, Jess. It's fun. Thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining me, Castro. So, like we talked about, there's a lot going on in the National League, but this particular story with Christian Yelich was super fun. I like when the different sports can kind of overlap and shows that, these guys have lives outside of baseball. And to bring, having another athlete, a successful athlete, a former Heisman Trophy winner, appreciate another guy in another sport is fantastic. So Yelich, whatever you're doing, keep on making it happen. I'm drinking the juice. I got it. So for an installment of Tell Me Something Good,
I was excited to put this out because of the fact that there were so many surprises this season. As you guys know, I'm a huge A's fan, and they've been so much fun to watch. We get to see them battle in the wild card game next week, and that's going to be fun as well. So I asked people, the beautiful people of Twitter.com, what has been your most surprising person, team, thing this season? And you guys did not leave me disappointed. Mr. Chris Addy said the answer is the Oakland Athletics, getting 25 to 30 more wins than anyone predicted. And Jen, Baseball Mom 52, said same. Hardcore A's fans, they've loved watching them win. They've been such a pleasure to watch this season, so I totally agree. Jamie Sue says Rays, to be honest, and Snell having a huge year for us. Yeah, Blake Snell has been fun to watch. The Rays have been extremely fun to watch and surprising as well. So they're a huge surprise, and I like knowing that we weren't expecting a lot from them, especially some of the off-season trades, and for them to step up has been phenomenal. Dale B. Dutchie said that this guy didn't know he had half a dog's worth of mustard on his face. First, I can't with mustard. It's gross. Why did I even put that in there? Brandon Rodriguez Merritt said, a very good question. Thanks, Brandon. I would say the Phillies taking off like fire for the first 5 months of the season, way ahead of where anyone thought they would be. So I mentioned the National League. If you look at the National League overall, the Braves, the Phillies, and then you continue to name off these teams, you get overwhelmed with who your favorite team could possibly be. And like me, I sometimes forget the Brewers in the National League, and I forget to name them too, but we've talked about the Brewers quite a bit, and they've been fun to watch. So the National League, wide open. I feel like until the very last minute, it's going to be that scenario. So keep it trucking. Jason Amico said, the emergence of Albies, Acuna, and the baby Braves a year early. What has surprised me the least, how dominant Shohei Ohtani has been in all facets of the game. Agree on both sides of this. Shohei Ohtani lived up to the hype. I like knowing that kids can see that, knowing that they don't have to just be a pitcher or just a hitter. They can do multiple sides of the ball. Obviously, and obviously Ohtani's going to be looked at with some injuries, but he can still hit for the Bucks after having a possible surgery. That's kind of great. And then, of course, you mentioned the baby Braves. We knew we were going to see the Braves, but I remember at the beginning of the season thinking, oh, maybe in 2019, 2020. No. The Braves were ready for them now. Amen. So thank you guys so much for sending those in. There were a ton of responses, but a lot of them were redundant. Of course, everybody was excited to see the A's. Everybody was excited to see what the Braves were going to do. The Phillies, the Rays, and everything else in between has been really a surprising season, and I can't wait to see what October baseball brings us. And once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the 10th episode of Infinite Jess for MLB.com's Cut 4. I will see you next time.